Here you are, wandering aimlessly into the steam room.
Yes.
For another episode with Charles Barkley and Ernie
right
Johnson. Oh, wow, you are just interrupting me and everything. You're very excited. What's got you so excited?
You know, when the season starts, you're like, damn, we got 82 games to go. And it's like, man, it's going to be a long season.
And it is.
Yeah, but once you get to All-Star game.
Head down the stretch as we are right now.
Yo, man. And then March Madness, 3 weeks of joy. And then go right into the playoffs when it, like, really matters.
It's right in our wheelhouse, Chuckster.
This is the best, brother. This is the best.
This is a good time of year.
Yes.
Very busy time of year, but very but it's
just the first 2 days of March Madness. They're a nightmare.
Those are long days.
Yeah.
Those are long days.
When you're on TV for 12 straight hours.
That's the best, isn't it?
Yo, God. Friday and Saturday, America, y'all don't understand.
Thursday, Friday
and Friday are the 2 worst days in the history of civilization. We're on television for 12 straight hours.
Yeah, but listen, Chuckster, as I've told you and Kenny before, imagine you're not doing what you're doing. What if your boss came to you and said, all I want you to do on Thursday and Friday of this week is watch the tournament? You'd sign up for that.
Yeah, but I'd be sitting at home with some alcoholic beverages. I wouldn't go into the studio and sit there all day like a moron.
Well, I see that point too.
Yes.
Let's get things started this week with, first of all.
Yeah, I got some sad news first. There's a young kid named Caleb Wilson. This happens every couple years, and I don't understand why. He got beat to death at some fraternity bull. That's the only way I can explain it. 20 years old. And I don't understand these rituals where people can actually die. From what I was
this a hazing thing?
A hazing thing. They were beating him in the chest. 20 years old. I can't imagine his parents. He didn't have to die, but this ain't hazing, man. Like you see every couple of years, some kid drinks too much and he dies. Like, I just don't. First of all, you know, I hate fraternities anyway, because I just think, who want a bunch of dudes hanging together if you can't get real friends? So I'm anti-fraternity, dude. I don't want a bunch of friends I got to make me do stupid stuff to be in their group. And I just wanted to give my thoughts to Caleb Wilson's family. And man, when you read the story, it was I don't even want to mention the university because it's not a fair indictment of that university, but they were doing some physical to his chest, beating him. And I don't understand how that makes you.
It's just senseless.
It's senseless. It's senseless. And there's no excuse for it whatsoever. And, man, listen, I actually believe in hazing, to be honest with you. Like, I had to take Andrew Toney warm milk at night. I had to carry guys.
Well, there's that kind of hazing.
And that's the only kind of hazing there should be. I had to carry guys' luggage through the airport. I had like 12 bags around.
You got to get my newspaper in the morning. And
Dr. J had to take him a nuppaper at 7 o'clock in the morning. Like, why in the hell am I up at 7 o'clock in the morning? Because Dr. J needed a newspaper. Yeah. Like, that's hazing. Hitting people, making people drink too much, that's not hazing. That's just stupidity.
And it's, look, and I remember being that age, Chuck. I remember that feeling of invincibility and nothing will ever. No, I'm young. You know, what can happen? You know, we're just gonna. And it's not the way it works, kids. And I hate to be. You know, I don't want to. Again, I didn't want to come off like, oh, I never would. I did some stupid stuff.
We all did stupid stuff, but not to join making somebody do stupid stuff to join a fraternity. That's just wrong.
Right.
So, okay, this real estate agent who got fired, first of all, you can't make this up, Ernie. She went to a Mexican restaurant, didn't leave a tip, and talked about, I hope y'all get deported.
Well, isn't that special?
And I'm sitting here like, you went to a Mexican restaurant, wrote no tip, And then under your bill, you're right, I hope y'all all get deported. And they chased her down and she got fired from her job. And like,
I had not heard that, and I'm glad I hadn't. But
no, you got it.
but now I can't wait to look it up.
You got to look it up. Ernest, she went to a Mexican restaurant and insulted Mexicans. And I'm so glad she lost her damn job. And like I said, I still want to say to all my Mexican friends out there, bless y'all, man. I know it's tough right now with all the immigration stuff, but if people here, legally or illegally, if they're not breaking the law, bless you. Now I got to say something about the Dallas Mavericks. Kyrie, I wish you the best. I'm sorry you tore your ACL. I think you're a great player and a good kid. I'm just sorry. And I hope all you guys get healthy. It's just been one of the worst breaks, one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Oh, no, for that team.
Yeah, for that team.
Went from, okay, now you make this trade, but let's see how this AD Kyrie thing works out. And now you hardly got enough guys to put on the floor.
Yes. And Nico, hey, man, you know I like you. I wish you nothing but the best. You made a trade. It is what it is, and I hope it all comes together. But I got to kill y'all. I got to kill y'all. The person who announced this week that y'all raising ticket prices.
The timing was impeccable.
You got to be the dumbest person in the history of civilization. And we got some dumb ones, as you can see right now. You guys raise ticket prices right now for next year. You got to read the room, guys. This is not the time.
Of all the things you might not want to do, given the atmosphere in Dallas right now, it's not only are you mad about the product, it's going to cost you more.
Like, you wonder sometimes, like, that had to go up a chain, right?
Sure.
And you're like, hey, let's announce right now, we're going to raise ticket prices for next year.
Just blame the tariffs.
Like, you can't make it up, man. You cannot make it up. So much as I love the Mavs, I pull for the Mavs, but the person who announced you're going to raise ticket prices this week, that's just stupid. All right, so I'm going to finish up on a couple politicians. They all acting foolish, like standing up screaming in the middle of President Trump's address the other day.
Did you watch that, by the way?
I did not. But I said the same thing when they did the same to Barack, President Obama a few years ago. Come on, man. Y'all grown folks. Y'all are grown folks. Y'all supposed to be running this country. The way y'all are acting and the way President Zelensky was treated, like, the audacity of this dude not to wear a suit when he comes to the Oval Office. But enough about Elon Musk right now. Let me get back to what I was talking about. Man, y'all got to do better, man. Y'all got to do better. I mean, come on, man. Come on, please stop it. Y'all embarrassing everybody. I'm going to finish up with, Canada, how much I love y'all. I love Canada. Toronto's my favorite city in the world. Love me some Vancouver. Y'all's got to be, like, let the stupid people stay down here. Y'all too great of a country to be hating on my man Wayne Gretzky because he didn't wear red for Canada. He was seen fraternizing with the American team. First of all, he spoke to the Canadian team. But the amount of op-eds y'all are writing about him saying he has sold out Canada, man, stop it. There's no prouder Canadian. First of all, he's the greatest jock in y'all history. But I don't, because y'all mad at Trump and the tariffs, to be attacking Wayne because he socialized with the American team. Y'all writing op-eds. There's some more idiots in the Athletic today that I had just happened to catch the headlines about Wayne Gretzky didn't stand up to Trump on the tariffs. I'm like, I don't think that's Wayne's job. Wayne's a citizen. He ain't the prime minister. But man, y'all, these people, y'all just stupid, man. Be stupid on your own time. Keep it to yourself. Don't be stupid on our time. Wayne Gretzky he's the most humble superstar I've ever met. Him and Tom Brady are the two most goats who humble I've ever met. It's an honor and a privilege to work to him. But the criticism coming at him because he didn't wear red and he didn't come out and like root for Canada. Come on, man. Stop being stupid. Y'all, my favorite place up there in Toronto. Have some common sense up there.
Don't be messing with the great one.
Come on, man.
And he is a prince. He really is. I mean, spend some time with him at the match down there what a
you
guy.
would never know he was the greatest hockey player
and around
ever.
here too. He's
amazing.
Just a normal guy walking around doing his job.
And it's his job to handle the tariff stuff. Like he go like, hey, President, you shouldn't tax my country. Like, okay, you're right, Wayne.
And what's the alternative to? I'd love. I don't know all the details, Chuck, on the fraternizing with the U.S. team, but look, the U.S. team is all
guys he knows,
guys who play hockey, guys that Wayne knows, and he's an iconic figure. So I don't know if he was approached or if he knows these guys. Hey, it's like,
and he spoke to the Canadian team.
Yeah,
but people stupid, man.
Silly.
They mad at the terrorists, and they're gonna take it out to their greatest. The greatest thing they ever had up there. Yeah. So, man, relax, people. Calm down.
Yeah, calm down and keep it here on the Steam Room because one of our favorite guests,
yes,
a repeat performer here on the Steam Room.
Of the top-ranked.
And the head coach of the top-ranked Auburn Tigers.
Yes.
Bruce Pearl joins us next.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back inside the Steam Room.
You like the color of this shirt, Ernie?
You must have had that specially made.
No, I was just saving it for a big occasion.
You've got the orange and you've got the blue script for your Redmont vodka.
Yep.
And your Auburn colors.
That's right.
Saving it for the day for a return visit to the Steam Room from the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, Bruce Pearl,
that's not the way you phrase it.
Of the top-ranked.
Thank you.
And likely number one overall seed.
There you go.
In the NCAA tournament.
See, that wasn't hard, was it?
Bruce Pearl joining us. And here's the true test of a repeat guest on the Steam Room. Do you know the one rule of the Steam Room, Coach?
I honestly don't. Tell me.
Keep your towel on. There you go.
Location.
That's right.
Maybe I didn't give you that rule the last time you were on. Anyway, great to see you. And I know I texted you the other day congratulating you on another victory, but also telling you how unbearable it is to be around the Chuckster these days, given the lofty status of the Tigers.
It's been impressive. I know because I watched the entire Kentucky game the other day.
Congratulations.
No, because I was thinking, I says this could be a tricky game, and they came out like gangbusters. The game was over halfway through the first half. See, because when you're ranked number one and they were already celebrating, getting ready. They had wrapped up the SEC. I said, I want to see how they play this game. It was crazy, Ernie. We've only won there twice
in the last like a million years.
And I was actually the first question. That was
it was like 88 or something like that.
Last time they won was 88, and the first one was mine in like 84, 85.
Mel Turpin?
Mel Turpin,
83.
83. Sam Bowie, Melvin Turpin, all those guys. I'm like, we have lost 20 straight games someplace.
Yeah,
welcome, Coach.
Man, it's great to be in the Steam Room, and I promise you, I will keep my towel on. Some of our towels are bigger than others, and my towel will remain on.
You can borrow mine, Coach. It'll wrap around you twice.
Hey, Coach, this gauntlet known as the SEC this year, man alive! You talk about quality teams and just the ability from one night to the next for this guy to beat this guy. And it is impossible to gauge, like, okay, look, you guys have had a great year, but it's like, well, this guy beat this guy, so are they that good, or this guy? I mean, how do you assess what you've seen in that league this year?
Well, there's a couple of things. It just means more in the SEC. And there's been a tremendous commitment to NIL and the investment in our players, the coaching staffs, the facilities, so on and so forth. And the difference between us is that everybody in our league are acting accordingly, whereas in some of the other leagues, not everybody is acting like Houston or Kansas, or not everybody's acting like Duke or North Carolina in the ACC, and that's an issue. And I'm not saying that out of criticism, because I guarantee you, there are coaches in those leagues. They're saying, "Thank you, Coach Pearl, for speaking up for those of us that haven't been given the kind of NIL budgets to at least be competitive." And so that's been the difference, and that's been the commitment. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but the math is beyond incredible. The way our league is dominated in the non-conference, and Oklahoma goes through the league undefeated, the non-conference undefeated, and they got a real legitimate chance to go in the NCAA tournament and win a game. And I know it sounds crazy. South Carolina is going to finish last in our league. They beat the second best team in the ACC in Clemson. Georgia is going to finish 12th in our league, and they beat St. John's, who's playing as good as anybody else in college basketball right now. And so therefore, it is historic. And for this Auburn basketball team to have won the regular season, and this being our fifth different team in the last 8 years to either win an SEC tournament or an SEC regular season championship, says that for the last 8 years, Auburn has been the best program in the SEC. And I know that's something that I'm proud of. That's something that Charles is extremely proud of, because it's not a 1 year, it's not a one season wonder. It's been something that's been done with level consistency. At the same time, it's the very beginning of March. And when Charles recognizes, he was excited about it, but he knew it was February, because let's face it, it's called March Madness, not February Madness.
Bruce, as a coach, you have to kind of figure out your team. Sometimes it starts in the summer, then you start in the preseason. When did you know as a coach, man, we're pretty damn good? Because I've talked to a million coaches. They're like, something happened. I'm like, yo, man, we got a good team. When was that point for you?
It's a great question, Charles. It was at Houston, because we had prepared for Houston. You know Kelvin Sampson. You know how his teams play. You know how hard they play. You know how physical they are. And I was worried, and I still am a little bit worried about our physicality. And yet we were able to go down to Houston and play a great game against them. And after we played with them and beat them and came back, win the second half. And then we went to Maui and beat Iowa State and beat North Carolina, beat Memphis. That was it. It's all I needed to see, that I knew this team had a chance to be special, that we had 7 starters, 7 guys that could start out there with Todd Pettiford and Chaney Johnson coming off the bench. The playing Dylan Cardwell and Janai Broom, 2 6'10" guys together. You know me, Charles. I like to play. I'm a little undersized. We like to play fast. Man, the way those guys have bonded and played well together has helped us defensively. And in this league, I mean, there are some physical monsters in this league. And as long as the officials let us all play come NCAA tournament time, I think there's going to be a boatload of teams from the SEC in the Sweet 16.
It was interesting the other night, Coach, your comments after the loss to Texas A&M. You've mentioned physicality. You thought your team got out physical, basically, or manhandled in that game. And you said the scouting report is out. You hit them in the mouth. So is that a message to your team, or is that, is that you being a coach and saying this message will get through that we need to be tougher? Yeah, no, both. All of the above. And it's like here's the other thing, too. At this time of the year, I can give the scouting report, because we all know, everybody knows right now who's who in the zoo. It's out there. And so being physical with Auburn has the 3 most physical teams we played, or 4, have been Iowa State, Houston, and then the teams that we've lost to, Florida, Duke, and then the other night's Texas A&M. So if people want to beat us, they're going to recognize Alabama's going to come in on Saturday and be as physical as they possibly can be. And it'll be a rock fight. And so, yes, it's a message to my team for sure. And whether or not we're able to step up is going to determine whether or not
we're going to continue to be successful and make a deep run in March. But that doesn't take away what they've done to this point, because what they've done to this point is historic. How have they done it? We've respected our opponents but feared nobody. We have not lost a single game. Even like, look, Texas A&M, they were 2 seed last week. I mean, they're a really good team, but we haven't lost a game yet because we didn't respect our opponent or we weren't ready to play. And Charles will tell you, whether you're a pro or whether you're in college or in high school, that's hard to do every night. And in the regular season, this team's managed to do it every night.
All right, Coach, we got to talk about Chad.
Okay.
My man Chad is ML Carr, Dennis Rodman, Draymond Green.
He's a wild card.
He's a wild card.
Yes, he is.
You gotta let him do him. He's like that wild horse. If you tame him, he wouldn't be the same player.
And you folks who aren't avid followers of college basketball or of Auburn basketball, we're talking about Chad Baker-Mazara.
Yes.
So now continue.
Who got tossed in the first half last year in March Madness.
Against Yale.
Against Yale! I had to hear that again. I would go crazy. Coach, how do you address that situation? Because Nick Saban had a great line. I was picking his brain on, because he said something in an interview one time. He says, I want you to play with emotion, but I don't want you to be emotional. So how do you skirt that line with Chad?
Yeah. Charles, it's a great question. First of all, I love Chad Baker-Mazara. I love him like a son. And as a coach and as a teacher and as a father, we can advise, we can instruct, we can discipline, we can hold accountable, but we can't control. And some of us think we need to control, we should control, and whether we don't have the ability to control, we somehow get judged about that. Chad Baker-Mazara is authentic. You hit the nail on the head. He's a stallion. He's a wild horse. And when you let a wild horse run, man, they can run beautifully. But they also can, run through the barn door and break a leg and break everybody else's leg, right? And so that's who Chad is. The wonderful thing about Chad Baker-Mazara is he knows who he is. He knows who he is. It's like women, okay? Women are unreasonable. They just are. But when you got a woman that at least knows she's unreasonable, man, you got a great marriage. No, you got a great marriage. Chad Baker-Mazara knows he's unreasonable. He does. And he does the best he can to try and, you're right, Coach, my bad. He does. I'm betting on him, Charles. And you know what? I bet on him since he's gotten here. And he's had my back and I've had his back. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. But I'm rolling with him. And listen, gifted, confident, unselfish, great teammate, make everybody better. And as Charles, come playoff time, come tournament time, has the upside. He's got another level. He's got another gear. And if he can take it to another level, another gear, we got a chance to continue to be successful. But there is a fine line between passion and celebration and being unsportsmanlike. There's a fine line between being emotional and being out of control. And he walks that line every day.
Before Chuck's answering machine gets filled with calls from loyal steamers who are women, would you also say that men are also unreasonable and that maybe not all women are unreasonable?
No, not all women are unreasonable. Okay. Only the ones I know.
Okay. Hey, you know what? I find it very interesting. I was just looking back through your resume, Coach, and Coach's Database is a great website, and I go there a lot when I'm researching March Madness and looking at teams and looking at profiles of coaches. So I want to go back, Bruce, to 2003. So this is the first time. Look, you'd been to the tournament as an assistant at Iowa, so you knew what the tournament was about. But at Milwaukee, 2003, your first time as a head coach taking a team into the tournament. RCA Dome in Indianapolis. You are the number 12 seed. You take on number 5 Notre Dame, and you lose by 1 point, 70-69. I don't need to name the player. There's no need. Who missed a layup, missed a bunny right at the horn that would have given you this upset win. And so I bring this up just because I want to know a few things. Like, I want to know what you know about the tournament now that you didn't know then, back when you took a team for the first time. And I want to know, in those moments after a loss like that, what was your conversation like with that player who had the game on his fingertips? And where do you find the words, and how do you decide what you're going to say?
Ernie, I'll start there. So we've played great. Playing Notre Dame in Indianapolis, they've got an amazing crowd. But we're a bunch of mid-major guys, from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. We believed that we should beat Notre Dame. We believed we could beat Notre Dame, and we were as good as Notre Dame. And last possession, and we kind of spread the floor. I give the ball to my best player, Clay Tucker, and Clay Tucker goes down the lane. Notre Dame rotates over defensively. He plays off 2 feet. He gives Dylan Page a really good pass, and Dylan Page doesn't know whether he's going to just lay it in or dunk it. And so he sort of goes in between, and rather than dunking it, he plunks it, and the ball kind of pops out. Dylan Page was one of our best players. We would have never, ever gotten to that point in playing in UW-Milwaukee's first ever NCAA tournament without Dylan Page. He carried us. He carried us the entire time. And you know what? You got to give God glory in victory, and you got to give God glory in defeat, and we did. I don't mind saying his name, because without Dylan Page, we're not there. And he went on to have a really, really wonderful professional career. He married a beautiful, reasonable woman. So not every woman I don't know. I want to make sure I understand. My wife Brandy is the sweetest, and Charles knows her very well. She's the sweetest, most God-loving, wonderful, put up with me wife in the world, and I'm so grateful for her. But Dylan moved on. What did I learn about the tournament then? That first round, to me, is the best day in college basketball. The first 2 days of the NCAA tournament. And I kind of think it goes downhill from there, because it's one shining moment. That game convinced me that I was right, that we were good enough to beat. No, we should have beaten Notre Dame. And then 2 years later, we went back to the NCAA tournament, and we played Mark Godfrey's SEC champion Alabama. And that's when Charles became a fan of Bruce Pearl. When I beat Alabama, Charles Barkley didn't know who Bruce Pearl was, but whoever that Bruce Pearl guy is, he's my guy. He is my guy, because I beat Alabama. And then we beat my alma mater, Boston College, and lost by a few to Illinois, who went all the way to the championship game. What it told me is bet the 5-12 or bet the 12 and the 5, and that anything is possible. And you can't have one shining moment.
Bruce, you've turned Auburn into, like, first of all, I never in my wildest dream thought Auburn would make it to the Final Four. That was the greatest thing. It was the most amazing thing. But what's happened is, now if Auburn don't make a deep run, people go crazy. How do you talk to your team about the pressure? Because this is going to be the most pressure on an Auburn basketball team in history by far. Not even close, because being ranked number 1 all year, basically. How do you calm your team down? We're talking to coaches, that's the hardest thing. Like, guys, it's still the same game. Yeah, there's more at stake. How do you address that with your team?
So what you do is you control the controllables. What are the things that you're in control of? Because we recognize the potential for the history, the potential for the greatness. We also recognize that if we don't do it, we're going to disappoint people, and it'd be tremendous, criticism and all that stuff. Don't worry about that stuff, because you don't control any of it. But you can control whether or not you're physically and mentally going to get yourself ready. You're going to control your effort and your energy. You're going to control whether you're going to defend and rebound. That's what you're going to control. Okay. And when Auburn has defended and rebound at the highest levels, we can beat anybody. But there have been some nights when we did not defend or rebound. We did not do that at Texas A&M. We did not do that against Florida. And in many ways, we didn't do it against Duke. And part of that, was my responsibility, coaching, that we didn't do a good enough job making the adjustments that we needed to make. So that's what it is, Charles. Your effort, your energy, and if you defend and rebound, okay, we will give ourselves the best chance to control our destiny.
There's going to be talk, Bruce, and I guess there is every year, when you get to this point and you're heading into the conference tournament. And again, given how talent-rich that conference is, it's going to be a rugged tournament. And you're going to hear folks say, probably be better off if they lost early, and then would be able to rest before the tournament begins, as opposed to, hey, run the table and go into the tournament on that kind of a high. Is there validity in that argument about hey, let's exhale for a few days and then play?
Yeah, there is validity, and I bet you could even look at some of the. I bet you there's some IT people out there that would say that they could even make a case for the fact that if you didn't have to play on that Sunday afternoon in the SEC championship game, and they're going on a plane and travel somewhere on Tuesday, and then tip on 11 o'clock on Wednesday morning or wherever across the country, that you're better off losing earlier. But none of us coaches are built that way. None of us players aren't built that way. We're gladiators, and we're not trying to go in the arena and get killed. We're trying to go to the arena and we're trying to win, and that's how we're built. That's how. So yeah, there's no question that there could be some validity to that. I think the other thing that you'll see, would be whether or not the grind of the SEC. And by the way, I don't want to hear from the pundits after this whole thing is over. Like, if the SEC wins the national championship and if the SEC dominates the Sweet 16, then the SEC wasn't overrated. I don't want to hear any about that. We played all these non-conference games. We dominated the world of college basketball. We are not overrated. But the question is going to be, what's going to happen in March? Are we fatigued? Are we exhausted? Because let me tell you something, there's a lot of teams in a lot of these leagues that haven't had the same challenges that we've had. And you know what? They're dying for March. Okay, they're fresh and they're furious. Charles is a big fan of college football. He's a big fan of the SEC in football. You can't tell me that Ohio State, coming out of the Big Ten, had to play basically 2 or 3 big games. Michigan, Penn State, maybe one other. Okay, I know I'm going to get criticized, but I don't care. Whereas you're living in the SEC, you got to have it every single night. You know what? That takes its toll in December or in January. Whereas the Buckeyes, they were fired up about playing against teams that could line up against them. Notre Dame in the same situation. Those two teams play for national championship. We're going to find out whether the rigors of the SEC are going to take its toll, and it has nothing to do about whether our conference was overrated or not. We've done our work.
Yeah, the conference is not overrated. I actually had an argument with a great friend of mine the other day about Duke. I says, how good is Duke? He says, I don't know. I says, because they won 4 straight games by 30 points. He says, that's actually my point. And he's a Duke fan. He says, I don't know if we're any good. He says, you don't win 4 games by 30 points. He says, our conference is bad. And he says, I'm really concerned that we could get upset because we haven't played anybody. And I said, well, we don't have to worry about that at the SEC. I mean, I said, because like he said, South Carolina, like Vandy's has a couple, they just beat somebody last week. I actually kind of watched that game. I was like, man, Vandy beat somebody this weekend.
Hey, I'm still got hope for my dogs, man. I still got hope.
And Georgia beat Florida last week.
And they got Vandy on Saturday.
And I'm like, where's that game at?
Georgia. I'm going to go.
Yeah. You going to go?
Yeah.
Well, listen.
Noon tip.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Bruce, let me ask you this question. With the environment of college basketball, no, I shouldn't say, with the environment of college sports, are you still having fun?
Yeah, I am. I am. People ask me all the time, "You having fun?" Because it doesn't look like I'm having fun as much. It's not my job to have fun. It's my job to make sure the players are having fun. That is absolutely my job. My job is to coach them and to teach them and to drive them and to love them. It is still fun, and we're still doing it the old-fashioned way. We're still graduating kids. I'm grateful that my guys are going to leave here, and rather than working at Subway, they're going to own 4 of them. And it's about time that the process got caught up to be able to compensate the student athletes for what they're obviously worth. And we got to get some guidelines. We've got to get there are more guidelines in major league professional sports in the NFL and baseball and basketball and hockey than there are right now in the NCAA. Whether Congress needs to be able to get involved legislatively, which is a hard wish on that. I support what Senator Ted Cruz is doing so that we truly can be playing on an equal playing field, because that's what they've tried to do, with professional sports through collective bargaining and so on and so forth. But the NCAA was so late to the party to compensate the student athletes. Charles, even back in the day, you think about how you guys had to live and how things were, and things that you weren't able to get, and what you meant to Auburn. My goodness gracious. So I still think it's become transactional in recruiting. It's become less ministerial, but it's still ministerial. Our guys are still calling God after knocking down threes. We are still trying to be role models. Our kids are still graduating. And so, yes, because I'm still able to make a difference in their lives, I'm still absolutely enjoying it. I want to answer one of the questions. I'll go back for a second. Duke's really good. Duke is really good. And listen, Duke is tested. While the ACC may not be as strong or as powerful, they played an unbelievable non-conference schedule. I played them head to head. Right now, going into this thing, the 2 teams that I've played against that I think are the strongest teams are Florida and Duke. Those 2 teams right now. And of course, I'm biased on Florida because Todd Golden was my former assistant and does a phenomenal job. But Duke's good enough, and they've gotten better. So I even though they've not played the schedule that we've played, I think they'll be right there. They'll be right there at the end.
I actually agree with him on the Florida thing, because I was we've been doing all these interviews, getting ready for March Madness. I says Auburn and Duke, I think, are the 2 best teams. I said I think Houston is in the conversation. And he says, well, what's another sleeper? I said, the Florida Gators.
And Michigan State.
Well, because Izzo is so good and from game to game. But that coach at Florida, I said this is, he's a Bruce Pearl disciple, right? He says, what? He says, I said, he's a Bruce Pearl disciple. I says, that's why Florida, I said, he can really coach.
When you talk about, and again, I think a testament to you, Coach, is that when you do look on that page, on that coach's database, when you have a coaching tree, it's a sign that you've had some success. When they list the guys who have branched off from your leadership. When I look at you, and I would just, because Chuck and I love to talk about influences in our lives and thanking them and recognizing them. When you think about Tom Davis, and you think about being a student manager at BC for this guy, and then being an assistant coach with him at Stanford and at Iowa before you get your big break, what did he teach you? And I guess he's now, mid-80s, 85, 86. And when's the last time you talked to Tom Davis?
Oh, I texted with him a couple of weeks ago. Tom's a very private man. Tom Davis is one of the top 5 coaches in the history of college basketball that nobody knows anything about. Now, that doesn't mean he's one of the top 5 coaches in the history of college basketball. But I'm telling you, when you make a list of and you ask some of the guys that have been in this industry, they tell you who are some of the great ones that nobody knows about. Tom Davis is one of them. He was an incredible teacher. He taught me how to be patient. He gave me 2 pieces of advice when I left him, and I was with him for 14 years as a student assistant. I hosted Patrick Ewing on his visit to Boston College. That's why we didn't get him. If they had to give him something that maybe give him a better time, he might not have gone to Georgetown. That's how old I am and how long I've been doing it. Tom said 2 things. He said, number 1, when you leave me, I think you should continue to try to do the things that we did because you know them, whether it's full court pressure, or the way we run our fast break, the way we break pressure, some of the foundations of our offensive principles. I probably changed defensively more than I have offensively. And he was right because I taught it. What happens to coaches all the time is they try to beg and borrow and steal from everything that they see that looks good. What's the hottest, set in the NBA? And you all try to put together, and then you put it all together. None of it works. Great advice. Want to pay me a compliment? Tell me my teams look like Dr. Tom Davis's. And Ernie, you've been around long enough that you've done that on several occasions. The second thing Tom said to me is this: don't try to be me. Be you.
Yeah.
That way, you have to think about who I should be. How should I act? I'm not saying I'm right, but I am authentic.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You know how much I love you and appreciate you. The first time me and Bruce sat down, two things I'll tell you about Bruce. When I was studying March Madness back in the day, I left him a voicemail. I said, hey, Coach, we ain't never met before. I just want to tell you this. I'm looking like a lot of these coaches can't coach. I'll tell you this every year. I says, these dudes just ran the same 5 plays in a row, and the coach didn't make any adjustments. And I said, in the NBA, we have 3 or 4 different, like, hey, if they doing something that work, switch it up. And I said, Coach, I just think you're a terrific coach. I love your in-game adjustments, blah, blah, blah. And then he didn't get the job at Auburn for 7 years, and he played the voicemail I had left him.
Wow.
And so, but then I tell you, so we get together the first time. He says, I said, Coach, what you think? He says, yeah, we're not any good. We probably only got 2 players who should be playing in the SEC. The rest of these guys, I said, what? He says, yeah, we got 2 SEC players. This is our first meeting. Now, I knew then he ain't going to never lie to me. He says, we only got 2 players who should be playing in the SEC. The rest of these guys be playing lower divisions. He says, give me 3 or 4 years. We're going to win. And from that point on, we've been together, brother.
It's been a heck of a ride this year for you, Bruce, and we wish you the best as the season's just fixing to get
fun,
even more interesting,
yeah,
without question. Thank you much for the time. We appreciate you.
I appreciate it. I'm just going to close on this. Sometimes there are friends that are family, and we have family. We're connected. I've got an amazing family. I'm so blessed to have my son, Stephen, with me as my right-hand man and my defensive coordinator. But Stephen will tell you, the guys that work on our staff, all of them are my best friends, and we could not be doing this without the greatest coaching staff in the country. The second thing is, as I love my family, and my family has allowed me to spend as much time as I need to try to spend to pour into these kids. And that's meant a little less about me being in their lives. And I'm so grateful for my family for giving me the support. And the last thing is, when you are able to earn the respect and the trust of a man like Charles Barkley, you've accomplished something. That box been checked. Charles, you're my friend. I love you, brother.
I love you, brother. I'll see you soon.
Okay, man. Where you going?
What an awesome talk.
He's the best, man.
Man, it's tremendous.
Yeah.
Cannot wait for the madness.
Ooh.
Chuck and Ernie in the steam room. Come and join us in the steam room. Chuck and Ernie in the steam room. Leave your towel on in the steam room.
Chuck and Ernie in the steam room. Chuck and Ernie in the steam room. Leave your towel on in the steam room.
And we're back.
What a great day.
Yeah, it is.
Great show.
Yeah. It's been great.
Yes.
We've had some great guests lately.
Yes, we have.
Had some great stuff to say. We like to close out every episode of the Steam Room with a couple of things. One of them is Chuck's answering machine. The other is good for the soul. And so let's jump right into it. Although again, we should let folks know how they can also possibly wind up in the Steam Room on the pod if their call is selected, if they can remember the phone number, which is...
Those days are over, Ernie. 404-987-0330.
That is
Those
the number
days
that,
are over,
that
Ernie.
so many of you know and so many of you use, and so many of you are sitting on the edge of your seat, or you're running right now, you're in the car listening and saying, I wonder if they're going to use my call.
Oh, no.
And we've got 4 of them this week.
Let's do it, brother.
Hello, world. This is Charles Barkley. Leave me a message.
Hey, Chuck and Ernie, it's Grant from Australia. I have a question for Chuck. If you could tell yourself playing in the 90s that you would spent decades working with Kenny Smith and Shaq. What do you think your 90s self would think about that? And were you friends with those guys back then? What kind of relationship did you have with them? Thanks.
Well, shout out to Dick Ebersol, the man who started me in the television business, and I owe him a great deal of gratitude. And I love you, Dick. Thank you for everything. Me and Shaq mom and my mom were best friends, so I had spent some time around Shaq. His mom, there's three of them. There's a lady named Miss Martha, they would always, when I'd go visit my mom, they were there. And I used to always want to kill my mom because my mom they would take like 12 vacations a year, and I'd get the bill, and I'm like, Mom, I don't have Shaq's type of money. She's like, baby, I got to pay my share. I said, well, you should probably get a job then. What
a son. Go ahead.
They took really good vacations, a lot of them. But I didn't know Kenny at all, to be honest with you. But man, I have the best job working with Ernie, Kenny, and Shaq. I have the best job. I mean, I get paid. I mean, you think about it. I get paid to watch LeBron, Steph Curry, KD, Giannis, Luka. I get to watch. I get paid. First of all, as an old jock, I'm pretty sure old jocks watch sports. Like, if you're a football player and you retire, you probably watch football. Sounds simple and whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I was gonna watch basketball anyway to get paid to watch it with these guys. So to answer your question, man, I'm so lucky and blessed.
You ever think you'd be doing it this long?
I did not. Remember we had that conversation? Yeah. Guys, y'all don't even know this. When I first got the job, Ernie pulled me aside. He says, Chuck, how long you think you're gonna be here? I said, I'm out of here in 3 years. I did.
And then 25 years later, we're having that same
25 years
conversation.
later, I'm still stealing money.
And we're glad that you are. Next call.
Hey, Ernie, Chuck. I was just curious, how does it feel that Timothée Chalamet said he would do a movie about Ernie? Like, one of the most well-renowned actors of the year, up for Oscars and stuff like that. It's got to be an honor. But then again, it must be an honor for him, too, because Ernie is such a captivating figure. His life story, everything he's been through is just so motivating. So I'm just curious on both sides of that. How does that feel? Thanks.
See, we're trying to get Timothée Chalamet on the pod because he did say on another media outlet when they asked him his next role, he said, how about a biopic on Ernie Johnson? And I was like, is the guy kidding about this for? Why would he bring that up? It made me instantly cool with the kids and the grandkids. But I would love to have him on here so we could talk about it.
First of all, I have no problem with him playing you.
Playing me?
Playing I
thought you said he's playing me.
But I'm kind of, when he said that he gets his clothing.
You always turn this into the Kenny part because he likes the way Kenny dresses.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Which was an insult to you?
No. First of all, when I saw that, I says, if Kenny does not bring this up right away, I'll cut off her arm.
Or it took about 8 seconds.
8 seconds. And like, I don't mind him playing you, but Kenny would, like, Kenny probably could say, hey, I'm good for the rest of my life. Timothée Chalamet dresses like I'm his inspiration for dressing. Because you know how Kenny is. You know how Kenny is.
Well, when we do this biopic,
oh my God.
Who should play you?
Idris Elba.
No, really. So when we do this biopic, next call.
Hey, Mr. Barkley, it's Alessa. I hope you're having a good day, and I just wanted to ask you, what would your perfect day look like? All right, bye.
Perfect day.
I know what this is going to involve.
Well, it's going to involve golf.
Donuts.
There's nothing wrong with donuts, Ernie.
I'm just trying to add to the list. Go ahead.
Donuts always good, but a beautiful sunny day on a golf course with 3 of your friends, just having fun. You can't really beat that.
Cigar.
Oh, yeah. I try to do 2 cigars per 9.
Per 9?
Per
Or
ni-
per side?
Per side, 2 a side.
2 a side.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like to do 2 a side. No more than that. And then after that, just have a nice vodka or a nice tequila. So that's a perfect.
And a steak.
And, oh yeah, you can never go wrong with a steak. But my thing is, I could flip a coin between great Italian, and a steak.
Yeah.
And I'd be happy with heads or tails.
You always ask guests on our pod, are you the king of your grill? Do you cook out? Do you
not.
barbecue? You don't.
I do not. I because I don't like things getting messy. No, but
you can do that. You can grill a steak without making it a catastrophe.
No. I don't want to do all the heavy lifting. I want to eat and smoke.
You
want
to be served.
Yes.
Okay. Next.
Hey, Charles, this is Mitch in South Carolina. A lot of great moments we've seen with you over the years, but what is your most embarrassing moment ever? Thank you, Charles. Have a great day.
Man. Ever.
Well, number one,
the emphasis on ever.
Thanks for the kind words. One embarrassing moment, but we're playing the Lakers, and I go down.
So is this the most? It doesn't just have to be on the court.
Yeah, but I'm, yeah.
But go ahead.
Well, first of all, we'd be here all day talking about the stupid shit I've done. I mean, we don't have that much time.
That's a totally different podcast.
Totally different. Probably one of the most embarrassing moments. We were playing the Lakers, and I did this dunk, and I dunked it. And the ball hit me in the head and came back out of the basket. I did.
But it went through, right?
No, but they didn't count it because it went right back through. But I did this, and I dunked, and I was under the basket, and it bounced right back up through, and they didn't count the dunk.
And you lost by 2.
That's the only thing would have been worse.
Yeah.
And I was like, that should have counted.
Yeah.
But it didn't. Not flunking Spanish and not graduating high school was a really humiliating experience for me.
That's different. That's really, that's a hard story. It's a hard story for you to tell. It's a hard story for me to hear. And my heart goes out to you on that. So I don't count that story in the most embarrassing thing that ever happened. It's like, hey, I tripped at a restaurant and knocked all the food off the table. That's embarrassing.
I haven't done that yet, but we still got time because I'm always being in restaurants.
All right. So that's Chuck's answering machine. I hope if you were listening, you thought, hey, man, they used my call. Wait till I tell all my friends. And now it's time for Good for the Soul.
EJ is good for the soul.
I think that would be a great way to end the show.
Love that idea.
Good idea, Ernie. A toast to my big brother George, the richest man in town.
So last week we ended with Good for the Soul with kind of an open mic, something we had seen.
Yes, incredible.
Something we had seen online where here was a mic set up. And it's just whoever wanted to come up and say what they were thankful for or what, why they were happy that day, they could do it. And you got a great mix of answers and it can be even the simplest thing that made somebody's day. So the suggestion I made to Cap, I said, I wonder if we could do that here somehow.
In the studio?
Up at the market. As a matter of fact, was it done at the market, Cap? Because I haven't seen that. And so Dean Poulos and Jonathan Scott hard at work setting this up and making it happen. And
they put a microphone out.
Yep. And
was that hard?
Here's what we know. But here's what we got.
I'm just messing around.
I woke up this morning, and I'm grateful to wake up every single day that I get to wake up.
It's good to be alive.
I'm in a good mood. I'm just having a good day. Like, it's just a really nice day. It's sun shining outside. Like, my jeans fit really nice, you know what I'm saying?
I just talked to one of my coworkers. She's 12 days in without a cigarette. And that's the most beautifulest thing in the world to me right now.
I woke up, and I'm on day 12 of not smoking. Yay me.
My wife was always on me about I drive too fast.
guess who texted me said that they got a ticket, so now I get to hold that over her, which is, in a nice way.
I mean, just great news today. My son's a freshman studying media in college. I had the opportunity to bring him to work and let him see how stuff is going and meet people, and things are going pretty well. So we're real happy about that. It's going well.
My grandmother is being discharged from the hospital. So, great day today.
I just found out my mother, who has stage 4 cancer, is healing and her cancer is shrinking and she's getting better. So I'm very grateful and fortunate for that.
I reconnected with my father after 7 years estranged. I flew down on his 70th birthday to the Dominican Republic, and I was able to just spend a full week dedicated completely to him. And we just had a great time, and I just decided, why hold grudges when people are still alive?
I finished working on my doc that airs tomorrow on Women's International History Day. It's called A Seat at the Table.
My niece got a 4.0 her first semester of college at Howard University, following in her aunt's footsteps.
I'm happy to say I actually went to the break room and got some famous Amos cookies, and they were good.
I met Ernie during All-Star Weekend, and afterwards I wrote him an email thanking him for writing a book, and I related to a lot of his life experience that he wrote in Unscripted. He wrote me an email back, so I'm glad to have a new friend in Ernie.
That's Chloe, as a matter of fact.
Surreal. Oh, God.
The whole thing, I love that. And I love the answer about been estranged from her dad for 7 years, went down, made the weekend all about him, not holding grudges.
I think that's really important. I went through that with my dad.
Yeah.
One of my friends said, man, you need to get back with your dad. I says, why do you say that? He says, once they're gone forever. And we got back together because I was really mad and angry for a long time. And he says, man, once your mom and dad are gone, there's no more Mother's Day and Father's Day, and you're going to miss it. And we got back together. I love the kid who came to work with his dad.
I do too.
He says, I want him to see what we actually do. I mean, because I love the people we work with. Like, I still don't understand why they're here all day. I'm not going to lie.
They have work to do.
Well, we don't go on to 7 o'clock at night.
It doesn't set itself up.
Well, it don't take 6 hours.
No, you should try. You should just shadow them one day and see what it is they do. And then you might understand why it is necessary for you to be here. I think you would see that.
I'd rather do 12 hours on TV.
Yeah. And and back to the woman who talked about kind of reuniting with her dad. And kind of not holding grudges. Goes back to that song I've always talked about from one of my favorite bands, the Avett Brothers, called No Hard Feelings, when they talk about that and with the reality of, look, you don't know how long you're going to be here, how long they're going to be here. So if there's something in between you that needs to be said, go ahead and say it.
Yep.
Don't hold back and say, no, it's up to him or it's up to her to. No, if you know it's there, you do it. You diffuse it. No hard feelings. There you go. It was good for the soul.
The Avett Brothers?
Avett. A-V-V-A-V-E-T-T. Avett Brothers.
Avett.
They're awesome. That's it. That's it for the Steam Room today. We're back next week.
One more week before we go to the Big Apple.
Yes, we'll be in New York. We'll be doing
2 weeks.
Doing some March Madness up there in the New York studio.
One more week of NBA, then the fun starts.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great run, and there it is. Avett Brothers right there. Give it a listen. No hard feelings. See y'all.
The rings on my fingers and the keys to my house with no